In today's episode, I have a very special finished object, plus a couple of new cast-ons. For tips and tricks, we're going to talk about necklines, because the neckline can really make or break your sweater. So what are some tips to give the perfect neckline? And finally, at the end of the video, I'm going to bring you along on one of my favorite hikes here in Italy through the valleys of Sanacre and Cavagna. So settle in, get cozy, grab your knitting, and let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Pia and I am so happy that you're joining me here today for a little chat about yarn and knitting. Today I am wearing a very special FO. This is one of my forever knits. It has turned into my forever cardigan because I am so pleased with how this thing finally turned out. It's a very special project because from the beginning, I just wanted this piece to be fun. I just wanted to explore different constructions, shapes. I was heavily inspired by the kimonos, and yeah, let me just stand up because you can still kind of see the inspiration from the kimonos, even though I did do a lot of other stuff as the knitting progressed. Let me just show you. See, the kimono inspiration is kind of obvious, I guess. I really wanted to play with the idea of two-dimensional garments. So you can see, instead of picking stitches up here under the sleeve, it's more of a kind of a set-in sleeve. And I have this lots of positive ease in it. It drops a little bit in back compared to the front, but not a lot really. And there is a very special construction to it up at the neckline, now that we're talking about necklines today. So I started this with just a long, 20 centimeters, something like that, piece of ribbing. Just this very narrow little piece of ribbing that I then picked up stitches around to work the cardigan down from there. So it's like this. The ribbed panel goes all the way down over the shoulders where I do my increases on either side, and then it continues down into the sleeve. The light is really playing some tricks on me here today. The sun is coming in and I am trying to record before it completely takes over. So if I'm not gonna make it before the sun takes over, then I'm just gonna have to record the rest of this video tomorrow. But let's see if we can make it. But yeah, this cardigan, it did turn into a forever knit. It is a lot of stitches. It's knit in fingering yarn. This beautiful merino silk and cashmere from Anita's World. It has so much drape to it, and I love the color. It's the colorway that she calls My Way, which is just absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, I planned this to be a forever knit because it's a lot of stitches on a tiny needle, and that was perfectly okay for me because I was only having fun. I'm not really sure about the future of this cardigan as far as the pattern goes. I do know that I want to put out a pattern. I want to share this pattern because I love this garment so much. But in what form and within what time frame, I have no idea. Time will tell. But for now, I am enjoying having finished a forever knit, which is always kind of special, right? So, as I finished one of my forever knits, I decided to take a good look on my other forever projects to see if there was another one that needed finishing. And there was. This one that you have seen over and over and over again on this podcast. The Ellsworth shawl wrap. I'm gonna link the pattern to the Ellsworth in the description box below, together with everything else that I talk about. But yeah, it is this huge wrap knit in 3 panels. I finished 1 panel. I'm kind of close to finishing panel number 2. And now I just want to get it done so that I can get it on my person. I really want to wear this perfect transitional piece, I think. It's a traveling forever project. It has traveled the world. It has been with me in Denmark, Italy, Texas, the Maldives. It has gone with me forever and ever, and I have been enjoying it, but now I want to finish. So I have decided that I'm going to work at least 1 wedge every day. And then I'm also going to use this as my car knitting when we're going home from Italy. And if that doesn't give me enough time to finish it, then I'm going to use it as my plain knitting when we go to Texas. It needs to be finished now. It is such an enjoyable project. It has been perfect because you knit it in these panels. It's kind of portable. It's easy. You do have to pay a little bit of attention to the short rows, but other than that, you can easily use it as social knitting or TV knitting. And yeah, I have been enjoying it. I am gonna enjoy knitting the rest of it, but I'm also gonna stay focused so that I can get it done. I also have 2 new cast-ons because that's the way to finish a forever knit, is to cast on new things all the time, right? They're both kind of practical cast-ons. The first is this little tiny thing. It's my hiking, my going to the bar knitting, small portable thing in a pretty little bag from the Playful Knitter. She's here on YouTube as the Playful Knitter, Sweet Marlene, and she's also, I'm pretty sure that's also what she is on Instagram, where she sometimes will sell these beautiful bags. In it is a string of cozies. I know it. I wanted to make yarn cozies. I wanted small, easy, portable projects. Plus, I wanted the cozies. I haven't thought about the value of yarn cozies before my friend Lizzie from the Pulled in Texas podcast gave me one last year. They're amazing. they protect your yarn. I mean, they protect your yarn from being tangled as it's in the project bag or being dirtied up if you take it out of the project bag. But it also helps you. I have always been a center puller. I've always been pulling from the center of yarn cakes and also yarn balls. And the last bit of yarn, it typically becomes yarn barf at some point. But when you keep it in a cozy, it's like the yarn just sticks to the side of the cozy so that you can just pull from there. Easy peasy, no problem at all. I love yarn cozies. I wanted more yarn cozies in my life. So I just cast on the same amount of stitches that I would for a sock. This is a DK weight, so I have 40 something stitches. I knit the tiniest little ribbing here, and then I just started knitting in the round. And I decided that I would just, when I decided that it was long enough, I would just thread the working yarn through the live stitches and pull it tight. I wouldn't do any increasing or nice things to shape the bottom of this. I just pull through the stitches and pull it tight. But then we were out and I was knitting and it just became too long. So I decided, well, that's no problem. I'm just going to make 2 cozies. So I'm going to finish this with a ribbing and then cut it in the middle, feed through these live stitches that I would get from cutting it in the middle and pull. And then we were out again and again it became too long. So now it's my string of cozies. I'm just gonna cut it in however many places I end up having to cut it. I will pick up some of the stitches to work some ribbing and the rest I'm just gonna pull tight. I do think that I'm gonna finish it and I get it off the needle, start a new string of cozies, because the idea was that this should be small, portable, just easy to pop in I have like a little fanny pack when we're hiking, and it should be able to easily fit in there. So probably I am gonna sit down and finish it at home and start a new string of cozies that I can use for my hikes and for my going out knitting. I just want to show you. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this tiny little stitch marker that Melina put with this bag? It's so pretty. And she also adds like little sachets of lavender. So your knitting just smells so nice when they're in here. The other thing that I cast on is also practical. It is in a bag from Melina Knitwear by Bemærk. You have seen her bags on this podcast so many times. I adore her bags. In it is my third Be Beautiful. So let me just show you before I start telling you about this. I am almost at the point where I can start the scalloped ribbing. This is a pattern that I created last summer, a little summer top with this V-neck and the bee pattern here in the back. You even see the bees if I do like this. I know the sun just blows everything out, but yeah, there are little bees flying down the neck of this super cute t-shirt. I originally knitted in the same yarn as this, just in a fingering weight, where I am now using the DK weight. So I created it to be knit at a very open, loose gauge to get this super drapey fabric. It's much like the fabric of this cardigan. It is a mix of 50% baby alpaca, 25% linen, and 25% silk, which is kind of a new to me mix. Alpaca, linen, and silk, but it's just perfect because the alpaca gives it just a little bit of floof, and the linen gives it this rustic look to it, especially when it's dyed up in a darker color like this. The linen doesn't take color the same way that the other fibers do, so you get this kind of rustic, rugged look. I really love it. And the silk just gives the drape and the luscious sheen, so really a nice blend. Anyway, for the first version, I did a boxy shoulder because with all the drape and the very light material, that was just so pretty. Then I wanted to knit it up in a sport weight merino, and I could see that the boxy shoulder just did not work when the material got denser, as of course it did. I was knitting to the same gauge, but with a sport weight yarn rather than a fingering weight. So I decided that I would create some slanting shoulders for this pattern. And first I tried with a European shoulder where you like knit the back first in a trapeze shape and pick up stitches and knit around the shoulders. Didn't really work very well. So I decided to go ahead and create slanting shoulders just with short rows. So this is just some short row shaping that is almost invisible in the finished knit, but it just gives a really nice fit. And I want to finish the sweater so I can take some photos and send out an appendix to the Be Beautiful pattern. I'm just going to do an update of the pattern on Ravelry. So if you bought it, you will get a notification from Ravelry, you'll get an email, and if you go to your Ravelry library, you will see like a little icon, update, I think it says, and you just press that and you get the appendix. If you bought it in my web shop and you haven't already, please send me an email so that I can manually send the update out to you. It should be ready next weekend. That is the plan. But I really wanted a product photo to go along to show how these slanting shoulders would work. Yeah, but what I have to do now is the ribbing. It's a very special kind of ribbing that I put on the Be Beautiful. It's like scalloped, zigzaggy rib, which is just super cute on this quite feminine summer top, summer t-shirt. I am thinking about, in the pattern, I instruct to pick up stitches around the V-neck and just knit some rounds with some increases and decreases to shape the V and have like a rolled over hem in the V. But I'm actually thinking just to leave it as is and just fold over here in the neck and attach it down here to keep it from rolling too much. I actually think that would be really pretty too. The appendix that I'm sending out will also include some rough instructions on how to knit long sleeves on this, so you get more of a sweater than a summer tee. But I don't think I'm gonna put long sleeves in this because it's May. I want to use this. I don't see a lot of use for a long sleeve sweater over the next couple of months, so I'm probably gonna put in short sleeves, and then maybe come fall, I will knit them longer. The yarn is from the Danish hand dyer by Kilerik, and it is this DK weight base of the alpaca, linen and silk, but she also has obviously a fingering weight because that's what I need the original Be Beautiful in. The colorway here, I forgot to say that, it's the colorway black. And it doesn't look black, it looks, no offense, but it looks like a dirty gray. And I'm here for it. I love a dirty gray. I love pretty dirty colors. So I am really enjoying this, and I can easily see this having a space in my spring wardrobe. So this is my top priority in the next week, to finish this, get it blocked, get some photos, and get the pattern update out to you. I get so many questions about necklines, and I can see why the neckline can make or break your sweater. No matter how gorgeous your sweater is, if the neckline doesn't fit, you're never going to wear the sweater. There are some obvious reasons for the neckline giving us problems. One of them is that very few patterns specify a gauge for the ribbing, or for whatever kind of edge that you're going to use on your neckline. Typically, the pattern will specify a gauge for the larger needle that you use for the body of the sweater, but not for the smaller needle. My patterns doesn't specify a gauge for the ribbing, and it is because ribbing is so difficult to measure. If you cast on the same amount of stitches in the same weight of yarn on the same size of needles, you will get so different results depending on the type of the yarn. So if you are working in a rustic woolen yarn, it will pull in a lot. But if you're working with a heavier or smoother fiber like alpaca, silk, maybe even a superwash merino, will give a different result. The ribbing is not going to pull in as much, it's going to open more. And how do you measure? How much do you pull before you measure? So typically there won't be specified a gauge for the ribbing. My suggestion is that you work the neckline last. If you start your top-down sweater by knitting the neckline and then you continue on and you do the entire sweater just to find out, oh no, I don't like that neckline. It's going to be, of course it's doable, but it's going to be a lot more difficult to rib out the neckline and rework it. So my suggestion is look in the pattern to see how many stitches it specifies after the neckline. Cast on that number of stitches and work your sweater. Then you can go back and work your neckline last. Also, because you can, of course you can try on a top-down sweater to see if the neckline fits. The thing is, you don't know until the rest of the sweater is attached, because sweaters are heavy and sweaters will pull. And because we insist on wearing our sweaters sitting or standing up, it's going to pull on the neckline. If we only wore our sweaters laying down, we wouldn't have this problem. But then again, I will insist on wearing my sweaters standing or sitting. But just imagine the pull that is on these necklines. They carry the weight of the sweater. So you can't really try it on and get an accurate idea about how it's going to sit in the end. So go ahead, knit your entire sweater, sleeves, body and all, and then go back to work the neckline. You can choose to do a provisional cast on, so you have live stitches and can just knit up, or you can do a regular, not too stretchy, just a long tail cast on really, because that will give you just a little bit of structure, a little bit of hold to this neckline that carries so much weight. So what I would do is I would do a long tail cast on for the number of stitches that the pattern specifies after the neckline. And then in the end, I'll go back and I'll pick up stitches. And I would probably start by picking up the number of stitches that the pattern specifies. But I would also be very open to the idea that I may need more stitches or fewer stitches. And it doesn't take long to knit a neckline. It's okay to have to rip back a couple of times to get that perfect fit that we really want. I often put in an elastic band in this picked up edge, the transition from the neckline ripping to the body. I will often sew in a thin elastic band just to help keep everything up in its place. Especially if you are doing a folded over, like on this one, you have a fold over neckline. So this is worked, the neckline on a teeny tiny needle to give that extra structure, but still I am willing to put in an elastic band if it over time pulls too much, opens too much, because you can see there is absolutely no hold to the top of a folded over neckline. So for those, you can just put an elastic band into the fold so that it holds its shape up here, and also to keep it laying flat on your body. But that is definitely my best advice for necklines, is work them last. And know that you can actually change the stitch count quite a lot without getting into trouble. So if typically it will look really strange when you do your cast on after the neckline, the neck opening is going to look huge and you're going to think, no, this is crazy. The ribbing will pull it in. But you can also easily pick up stitches and do a decrease round where you just heavily decrease. You'll be fine. It'll block out. It will lay nicely after. I promise. I can't promise. I wish I could promise. I always get away with changing the stitch count dramatically just on the last round before the ribbing. So go ahead, try this. And also remember that you can shape the neckline itself with some short rows. Maybe you are working a pattern that doesn't have short rows included. Then you just include the short rows in the ribbing. Maybe it does have short rows, but you actually, when you try it on, you can see, no, I would prefer a couple of extra short rows. Work them in the ribbing. It is absolutely no problem. When I work short rows in the ribbing. I always make sure that all the special stitches, that the turning points are in this edge between the short row, between the ribbing and the main body, so that you don't have turns going over the material. That means that if I were to pick up stitches here and work the ribbing up, then I would start by doing a few stitches, turn, and then a few more stitches, turn, always knitting more stitches, which would keep my my German short rows in this edge. They wouldn't be visible up in the ribbed fabric itself. I would also always turn on a purl stitch, looking at it from the right side, which means that on the inside I would be turning on a knit stitch, because the purl stitch, it just falls in. It just hides a little better what is going on. But I really do recommend putting in extra short rows in your ribbing if you, when you try on your finished sweater, see that it maybe rides up a little in front, or that the back pulls up. You can actually do a lot just with a handful of short rows in your ribbed neckband. So yeah, if you have any suggestions for how to make the perfect neckband, or if you have any questions about neckbands or about anything else knitting related, please put them in the comments below. I really love doing these segments with the tips and tricks. So please just let the questions come. I have finally published the pattern for my Christmas Day cast on. One of my testers named it Small Stars because of the textured stitches in the body and the sleeves. She thought they looked like little stars. So I took the name, ran with it. Yeah. Returning viewers will have seen this sweater so many times throughout January, February, probably also a little bit in March, right? Now I finally published it. It is on its way out in the world. That's always a little scary to publish a pattern, but I am thinking that I would like to knit myself a more summery version. This reads very wintry to me. Like you have the gray skies, you have the dark naked trees, you have the white snow. I would really like to knit one in some pinks and yellows and cream colors. Wouldn't that be beautiful? That's actually not a bad idea. I'll have to go through my non-stash to see if I have some yarn that would be good for this. But the pattern is out on Ravelry and in my own web shop, and I will, of course, link it in the description box below. When I'm not knitting, I am enjoying doing absolutely nothing. We have had a long period of time where we have been traveling. We have been in Texas, we have been in Denmark, we have been going out, we have been spending a lot of time with family and friends. Now we're in Italy and we're doing nothing. Nowhere to go, no one to see, and it's absolutely perfect. We are just relaxing. The plan was that we'd be relaxing outside. Typically, May here at Lake Como is beautiful. The weather is gorgeous and we can live outside. Not so much this year. When we first came here, it was so dry. Everything was just dried out. It was so sad. But then the rain came. And in the beginning we were like, yay rain, that is beautiful. Now I'm beginning to think, okay, yay rain in the nighttime. and maybe have a couple of sunny days like today. Today is beautiful. But when we look out, we can see that the rain is gonna come in probably in a couple of hours. We do a lot of hiking when we're down here. There's so many hiking trails in these mountains. I do have one word of warning though. If you're coming to Italy to hike, they tend to categorize the hiking trails differently than other places in the world that I have been to. So you have these usual categories: easy, moderate, difficult, and beyond difficult. Easy and moderate just needs that you don't need climbing equipment to do them. See, in my head, a hike that is categorized as easy, it means that anyone can basically walk it if they take their time. Not here. Easy can easily be a steep climb up for hours and having to navigate small streams and parts of trail that has just disintegrated. And so be mindful of that when you're choosing your hike down here, but it is such a beautiful area to hike in. We do live on the side of a mountain, and it is in an area that has these 4 gorgeous valleys full of hiking trails. Part of it is a national park, and it is beautiful. I am going to include a video from one of our hikes through the valleys of Sanacra and Cavagna. When I'm hiking, I use Peter as my entertainment center because he is so curious and he remembers stuff. So his curiosity will make him find out things about the area that we're in, and he will remember it so that he can entertain me as we are walking with history and all sorts of knowledge of the area that we are in. The only time I don't use him as my entertainment center is when we're navigating these steep climbs. Usually, I'm a happy person. The happiness just comes natural to me. If you were to play a tune on me, you'd get a light-hearted pop song. You would never get a huge, grand masterpiece of an opera. You'd get a light-hearted pop song. And that's okay. I am totally satisfied being a light-hearted pop song rather than a dramatic opera. The thing is, this changes when I'm going uphill. I turn into a monster. So typically I'll ask Peter to go ahead so that I can be monstrous on my own. But yeah, other than that, I am enjoying our hikes through and through. I am gonna put on a little video now. If you have watched until now, I hope that you have enjoyed it, and I hope that you will let me know that you enjoyed it by clicking the little like button below this video and maybe even sending me a comment. I love the comments. They always put a smile on my face. I hope you'll enjoy the video from Val Sanacra and Cavagna, and I hope that you will be well until we meet again. Keep knitting. Today we are gonna take you on one of my favorite hikes down here. We're gonna go up that mountain behind me, Monte di Cotro, up into Valsanagra to the small village of Male, where they have the cutest little restaurant. We don't know that it's open yet, it's still quite early in the season, so just to be safe, I did pack some snacks and some water for us, because there's no way I'm getting up there and back again without any sustenance. As you can see, it's a beautiful day today, but I did bring some scrappy striper just to be sure, because we spoke to our neighbor yesterday and he said that it's still super cold up in the mountains. We are gonna take the car for this first part of the trip because that's quite a long stretch just on paved roads. So we'll jump in the car and see you later.
Just behind our house lies the splendid Valsanagra Park. This magnificent valley, set in the heart of the Lepontine Alps, lies in between 300 meters and 2,000 meters altitude. Valsanagra contains some of the oldest rock formations in Italy, and in the park there are many trails to discover. The trail we're heading for is a small part of the Sentiero della Quattro Valli, the Fourth Valley's path. First we'll drive to the small village, Naggio, and park just a little further up the road. Then we'll walk through the valley just above the river and head up to the mountain pass, where we will descend to the next valley, Valcavagna, where the small village of Male lies. Let's go.
Some of you might be wondering where Miss is. Well, we left her at home, curled up on the couch with a snack, because Miss does not approve of walking on a leash. She does, however, approve very much of couch living, so I guess everyone is happy this way. These little icons, you meet them all over in the mountains, and they're always super cute and very well tended by all the locals. This one is a rather new one. This is from 2005. Typically they're much older, but this is super cute as well, and it often has this spring water running. You can drink this. This is definitely drinking water, and it's cold and very refreshing, right?
You can see it is possible to drive off an asphalted road for a very long way into the valley, but you meet big deer and wild boar more often than you meet cars. And if you don't meet them, you can always find a restaurant in the area and eat them. There are so many that we often see, especially the cervi, the deers. We see them right down in our villages and in our gardens. These mountain restaurants are often difficult to reach by car. They are only open on weekends and only from April to October. At one point, we turn off the road in Valsanagra and go steeply up to the pass between the two valleys. Okay, now we're at 1,300 meters, I think. That's my wife. She just took about 150 meters, like straight up in the air. How was it, baby? It's been a while since we've been hiking. But this is beautiful. This is so beautiful. These are the pastures of Male. So up behind, just up behind here, like, is it 5 minutes walk? a couple of 100 meters, there's a farm. And here in the summer, you have cattle. And that's why you see the fence here. We have the fence over here. Actually, there's still a public path. It's a Sentiero Quattro di Valli, where we can hike for one valley. Now we have ascended from Valsanacra, and now we're on the top of Male. And this mountain here is Monte di Cotro, and our house is on the other side of that. And when we started out on this hike, my wife, she looked, I won't say that she looked better, but she looked a little more fresh.
Do you know the bumper stickers? Those that go, I would rather. I'd much rather be knitting.
Let's find some knitting.
Okay, I'm back on my feet. Now I'm searching for a nice spot to sit and knit for a little while. And I think I know exactly where I'm going. It's right in front of us. There's a huge tree with loads of shade. So that's where we're going.
These areas were formed, actually the lakes, the Como Lake, we have Piano, we have Lago di Lucano. They were formed by ice glaciers 10,000 years ago. So this has really been formed, and you think you have had settlement here for almost 10,000 years as well, but you actually don't have a lot of call them artifacts or evidence of them being here. Like if you went to the south of France, you can all the caves and everything. You have a lot of evidence, but not here. But you're pretty sure that even cavemen, they enjoyed this area as well. The beauty of this area, if they've had time for it, probably didn't. Otherwise, it's known for a lot of evidence. Is of course the Romans. Before there were the Celtic, but the Romans settled here like 100 years before Jesus Christ, and they were here. They were here for 500 years. They had settlements here. Even Julius Caesar was actually known for having this area as a ruler of this area. So you see, when we walk around, you see all the terraces with stone put up. That was started by the Romans. The roads that follow the lakes, shores, they're formed by Romans. So more than 2,000 years ago.
Okay, now I've gotten a couple of rounds in on my string of yarn cozies, and now I'm hungry. I want to go to Mali and stuff my face with all the wonderful food at the Santa Maria. So let's be on our way.
Let's go. Now we walk the last stretch before reaching Male. But before that, we have to go through a farm that produces milk and cheese. The cows are only on the mountain in the summer, and it is somewhat unique that you are allowed to walk through the middle of the courtyard. The family gets many hikers visiting every day during the summer, but they react as if we are the first one for weeks. You're always greeted with a smile and a friendly buongiorno. And here you see the stables and the houses that the family lives in.
Now we're in Male. Look, the sign, the Santa Maria. I am keeping my fingers crossed that they're open because I am absolutely starving now. Like in so many small Danish towns, they have their own town library here where you can go put books that need a new home and take out another book, and over time everyone in this village will have read the same books, which is just adorable.
Buongiorno. Tutto bene?
Sì, lei?
Aperto?
Sì.
Va bene, grazie.
questo formaggio qua, l'alpeggio di qua, rozzo, e poi un altro, non so se siete passati da Lugone l'alpeggio, ecco, questi.
Fantastico, grazie mille.
Prego.
Grazie.
Peter went to pay for our meal, and I of course pulled out my knitting because paying for your meal down here can take some time. You'll typically be offered some grappa or some limoncello, and in this case Peter also chatted with the grandfather of this restaurant, who is still very much a part of the family business.
Peroni, birra de piccola, Peroni.
Okay, we're all full now, all refreshed and ready for a 10-kilometer walk downhill, which is so much more fun than going uphill.
And we're gonna say goodbye to Albergo, where we had a fantastic lunch. It was great, and just get the final view of the valley here. This is Val Cavagna. Yep. And again, I'm stupid. It's not the first time in my life. I'm like going straight up to this church over here. But it's just so beautiful. Let's see how this turns out. Ooh, it's so tough. I couldn't get Pia to join this walk. Almost there. Almost. Wow. It's so beautiful. Okay, this is Ave Maria, Gratia, Elena. Actually, it was it in around 1950 something? It was struck by lightning and all the walls cracked, the roof burned, everything burned. It was a total mess, and you can imagine that the small village down here, Male, it's not like they had a lot of money, so they had to ask in the surrounding areas, the surrounding cities, if they would help reconstruct the church, and they did. So I think it was built 100 years before that, and again you can imagine that only these few houses down here were the ones to pay for it. And that was not enough. So all the other cities you see in the background here, you have Bartolomeo, and in the back of the valley, you have Val Cavagna. Right now I'm passing through like a private house. I'm probably not supposed to do that. But what I wanted to show you is that in the old days they made like sheds for bird hunting, and nowadays they have done so much for hikers in this area. And this is an example of a cabin where you can actually come. Probably won't come here during winter, but you can come during summer and you can stay here. So this is Rokul. You see in here you have places to eat, places to stay, and you have camp areas around here where you can sit and enjoy your food. And they even made a pizza oven and a grill. So what a wonderful place. So this is at Marle. Oh, where's my wife? I just missed her. There she is. Let's go and say hello. Oh, was it tough?
As we started to walk back down the mountain, the wind suddenly came in. And typically in these mountains, when the wind comes in, the rain is sure to follow shortly after. So we definitely picked up the pace in an attempt to outrun the rain, and I was just so very happy that we were going downhill and not up.
Buongiorno. Ciao.
Still trying to outrun the rain. I think we're gonna make it, don't you?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I hope so, for sure.
Buongiorno. Forza, forza.
Not fair. They're going uphill. We're just letting ourselves fall.
I saw they had more.
There was more in them.
Yeah, a lot more.
I'm sure they're very grateful.
I think they were only 70, 75 years old. They had more. They had more, a lot more. No, they were tough.